Hello, everyone. Sorry about that. I was muted for some reason, but my name is Samantha Norman, and I will be showing you some vocabulary and questions from Chapter 8, Algebraic Reasoning, Graphing, and Connections with Geometry. Some key vocabulary words, just to start off with a few, because I don't think I'll have time to go through all of them. Our first one is variables. It's changeable quantities that are denoted by a symbol. Constants, which is a fixed value. Expression involves variables, numbers, or operation symbols. Equation is two algebraic expressions with the same value. Function is a relationship or expression involving one or more variables. Identity is an equation that is true for all evaluations of the variables in their domain. Coordinate plane is a plane containing both a x and y axis. Parallel lines are lines on a plane that will never touch and are always the same distance apart from each other. Perpendicular lines are lines that meet at right angles to each other. A midpoint is the exact middle point on a line, and a concurrent is a collection of lines if each of the lines contain the same point. Question 1 says, draw a graph for each of the following scenarios and explain why your graph corresponds to the scenario. So for part A, it says to graph the function of the amount of gas in a tank when a driver refills the tank on a drive across country, which is represented in our first coordinate plane here with the red line. So you can see it decreases as he starts off his trip, kind of stays at a constant. When he refills it, it goes back up. And as he starts his trip again, it decreases. Part B says graph the function of the height of an elevator stopping at each floor on the way up, which is shown in our coordinate plane below, our red line. And you can see it makes it stop at its first floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, and so on as it goes higher and higher. C says graph the function of the height of a bouncing ball dropped from a table, which is shown in this purple line. You can see how it just bounces up and down. And D says graph the function of the length of a shadow of a flagpole throughout a sunny day, which is actually represented as a parabola. So when it starts out, it's morning, so it kind of rises, shadow gets taller and taller, and then the very top point is midday when the sun is at its highest, and as the sun goes back down to set, the shadow decreases. Show and explain g of x for x equals 0, 1, 2, and 3, which in this question it gives us our 3 for the g and our 8. Well, our g for the f and our 8 for the g. So you do g of f of 0 to start off. So that equals g x times 0, which equals 0. So you add your 8, so you get f of 0 equals 8. G of f of 1 equals g of 3 times 1, which equals 3, plus your 8, which equals 11. So g of f of 1 equals 11. g of f of 2 equals g 3 times 2, which equals 6, and so you add 8, so g of f of 2 equals 14. G of f of 3 equals g 3 times 3, which equals 9, plus your 8, so g of f of 3 equals 17. Show and explain the slopes of the line segments determined by the given pairs of points. So our first point is P at positive 3, positive 1, and Q at positive 5, which you can see right here on our coordinate plane. And the slope of this line is going to be 1/2 because our original rise over run is 2/4 reduced to 1/2, and the segment of the slope goes upward and to the right. R at positive 5, positive 8, and S at positive 5, negative 8. 8 is a vertical segment because it's just a straight up and down line on our coordinate plane. And U at negative 1, negative 4, V at negative 4, negative 13 has a slope of 3. Our original rise over run was 9/3, You divide that by 3, reduced to 3/1, which is reduced to 3. And our segment goes upward to the right as well. Show and explain the graph of each of the following functions. So because every single one of these equations has x squared, we automatically know that it's going to be a parabola. So for x squared a, it's this middle parabola that meets at the origin. And because part B, you add 7, it's the same equation, just adding 7, we know our parabola is going to be moved up to positive 7 on our y-axis. And for C, since it's y equals x squared minus 7, we know our middle point of the parabola will move down 7 on our y-axis. So the relationship, the similarity between all these are the x squared, which makes them all have a parabola as their graph, but the difference is that B and C, their minus 7 and plus 7 tells us to move our parabola either up the y-axis by 7 or down the y-axis by 7. Show and explain the equation of the line through the given points that's perpendicular to the given line. So for part A, we have y equals negative 3/4x plus 5, and our given point is r at positive 6, negative 1. So we automatically know our slope is going to be positive 4/3 because it's the opposite reciprocal of negative 3/4. So our equation goes to y equals 4/3x plus b, and from there you will take your given point at positive 6, negative 1, and plug that negative 1 in for your y and that 6 in for your x. So you get negative 1 equals 4/3 times 6 plus your b, and you will solve for b, which gives you negative 9. Therefore, your perpendicular line to that will be y equals 4/3x minus 9, which is shown at the bottom of our coordinate plane where it hits negative 9 on our y-axis, which makes sense because our b, which is our y kind of intercept is -9. For B, you have 2y plus 9x minus 5 equals 0, and your given point is S at 0, +3. So you do y, well, first you have to put that in y equals mx plus b, which is slope-intercept form. So you get y equals 5/2 minus 9/2x, and the opposite reciprocal of that, which will be our slope, is 2/9, which is our m, which is slope, which gives you y equals 2/9x plus b, and again, you will solve for b when you plug in your given point to your y and to your x. So you get 3 equals 2/9 times 0 plus b, and you'll solve for your b, which gives you 3. So y equals 2/9x plus 3 is your perpendicular line to your first equation, which is shown at the middle of our coordinate plane here, where our line hits the y-axis at +3. So our final question is, show and explain the equation of the lines that is tangent to the circle of the following. A is radius of 9 at not positive 0, sorry, 0, -9, and whose center is at the origin. So for that, you get y equals -9 because it's your x right here. And the radius, I'm sorry, my brain is, B is radius of 9 at 0, +9. Therefore, your y equals +9. So to compare these lines, they are going to be two parallel lines on a coordinate plane, which we already know they will never touch, and they will always be the exact same distance from each other, which is shown here on our coordinate plane. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it helped you. If it didn't, just leave a comment and questions about it. And see you guys next week. Bye.